Before COVID, someone said, oh, I'm thinking about doing events. I don't know if I should or I shouldn't. And I was like, but if I couldn't run the events, I would shut this business down in a heartbeat. And then COVID happened and I couldn't run the events and I kept the business going, so I lied. This Hawaii event we did really differently. I, honest to God, think that this was the best event we've ever run. Out of the 9 sessions, I opened and I taught one thing. Would I recommend getting clients together in person? 100%. I'll do it again. We're going to do one big event on an island every year until I'm dead. I had clients who've been with us for 10 years and he said, this is by far the best thing you've ever done.
Hey, Taki.
Hey, brother man. How you doing?
I'm good. Taki Moore, the $1 Million Coach Man. So, Taki, you've created over $150 million coaches in the last decade. And today we're going to talk about your events and how you do that with events, how you design them, and also how you help your clients design in-person events. So you just had an event in Hawaii for your lovely folks in Black Belt. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Black Belt and Boardroom. So we've been running events for 10 years more, something like that. So we're pretty good at them. We're a bit rusty because no events for a couple of years with COVID. But this Hawaii event we did really differently. And dude, I've got this recency thing with the latest thing we've done is always the best. But I honest to God think that this was the best event we've ever run. And we were very deliberate and I'm super happy with it. Clients walked in as clients and like honestly left as family. And the team walked in as team, came as colleagues and left as team. And a big part of it was the structure and the design of the event. There's heaps of things. I think the pandemic's taught us we can do heaps of stuff on Zoom. It's great for teaching. It's great for training. And if we were going to spend 3 days together in Hawaii, then the big focus is, well, like, why don't we do all the stuff that you can't do on Zoom? And so instead of like a full day of like workshop stuff, we changed the run sheet pretty dramatically and it's kind of great. It's kind of great.
I wasn't there, but the energy coming off it, both from you when we chatted while you were there and also the people who went both during and after, I think, you're probably underselling it. It was the best ever.
Well, I had clients who've been with us for 10 years say, I've been to everything you've done. I haven't missed an event. I was talking to Dave Dugan, 37 record quarters in a row. He's come to every event for 10 years. And he said, this is by far the best thing you've ever done. And I think we were pretty good at it before, but it's kind of great. Like an old event for us was 2 days in a room, 9 to 5, morning activity, 30-minute break for morning tea, afternoon tea, an hour for lunch, finish at 5 o'clock, dinner at 6, big days. And there's no breathing room. And people always say, oh, the best part of the event was like the conversations I had in the hallways, which I always used to think was the event was really shit. And so the hallways were good. But we deliberately designed this one to be 50% of the experience was in the room and 50% of the experience was like out of the room. So we were done at 1 o'clock every day, workshop stuff. Then there was like purposeful community builds in the afternoons and in the mornings. It was ridiculous.
Awesome. And I ran a tiny little event for my clients recently.
Yeah.
I know that even if they're tiny, and yours aren't tiny because you've got a huge, amazing community, but they're real work. Is it still worth it for a coach these days to run in-person events? Now we can do everything on Zoom. We can sit in a room and be virtual. Is it still worth it to the expense and the hassle?
Yeah, so 2 things. It is expense and it is logistics, for sure. And I'm lucky enough we've got a good-sized team of really smart people, and so they worked way harder than I did. But even without that, would I recommend getting clients together in person? 100%, because there's something that happens when you're able to do life with people. And I think, like literally people walked away with lifelong friends and it was a life-changing experience and a real springboard to doing the rest of the journey together. 100% I'll do it again. We're going to do one big event on an island every year until I'm dead. And hopefully that's a long way away because we've got plenty of islands to do. And I would love to get to the point where we've got 1,000 coaches on an island living and working and collaborating together. I think it'd be super fun. So yes, you should totally do it. Even if you've got like 6 clients, like my first event had 7 or maybe 8. 2 or 3, probably 2 of them were ring-ins who I brought in to make the room go from 5 to 7 because 7's so much bigger than 5. And looking like at the time that was amazing and it just gets better and better.
Yeah, definitely. And having been to, the events over the years with different sizes with you, you've got a formula, you've got a way to design them and a way to deliver them.
Yeah.
And that's really scalable, whether you've got 6 clients or 100 and a bit like you had recently. How do you think and how do you design and put together an event?
So let's do like a couple of big ideas. These aren't all necessary. The first one's not necessary, but I think it was like a real like value add was like if you can get people immersed and living together. And so yes, you can run an event in your hometown and it's super good. Every time I run an event, say in Sydney, when we're in Sydney or here in Noosa, if we're in Noosa or in LA, everyone who travels has an amazing time because they're like all in. And the people who like are local, who like get out of bed and then drive there and they're there for a bit and they go home early, they have a good time, but it's not the same. And so if you can get people to like immerse together and live together, come to Bali or come to Noosa or go to Hawaii, I think that's like bonus points. The second big idea was the real change that we made was to add breathing room deliberately into the event. And I think that metaphorically, let's say you're at the front of the room teaching stuff to your dudes, you start the day at 8 a.m. and you like big breath in and then it's first session. So you teach them as much as you can and then you teach them some more and then you teach them some more and you teach them there. At the end of the day, you're like done. And so you're a bit exhausted. And at their end, they're like, this is really great. I'm going to breathe it all in. And then you give them session 2. Hello, people. Hello, people. And there's like, it's so great, but they just can't take any more in. So there's no room to like, you got to let the event breathe. And so we literally went from, we'll talk about formats and stuff in a bit, but we went from a 9 to 5 day to a 9 till 1 day, 3 sessions over 4 hours with a little break in between each one. And then all afternoon, we reserved a chunk of the beach and people could go paddleboarding or surfing or play volleyball or just sit under a thing and hang out, and then small group dinners. So we added breathing room, that like the time for people to process it, to integrate it, whatever that means, and just to hang out. So that was a biggie. And I think the third thing that we did was we designed the whole event like both macro and micro for energy. So if you go, like people walk in, for us it was 3 days, it could be 1 day or 2 days, but like there's an energy curve that goes. Even like if you think about a day, people start the day high energy, after lunch their tummies are full of carbs or food or whatever and their energy's a bit lower. And so you got to think about like when's the natural place for energy places for a guest speaker or for a mastermind activity. So we can think about it from a macro level, what's the energy curve look like? And then a micro level, how do you design each session so that the flow of the days, and then each session so that it's always, every session is standalone useful for everybody. And it's not like, I got to teach the baby turtles this bit and everyone else has to sit there and be bored because it's not relevant for them. And then there's something for the big guys and then the baby turtles miss out. Every session needs to be useful. And then we want to get people a mix of like listening and talking and working that kind of makes every session fun. Yeah. They're the kind of biggies, I think.
Love it. And something that I've really observed that you do really well is, there's a mix of you and, a big room. And there's also a mix of the guests and the people in the community also, in smaller groups and those things. How do you think about, not being the dancing bear the whole time? Because that can be exhausting if you're doing it a lot.
Yeah. If you love being the dancing bear, it's fun. And so that's me. Like for me, I have to give it up because it actually...
You love that. You do.
I actually really do. I think in a past life, I was a dancing bear. So I really love it. But I remember a few years ago, I was running an event and I was like, okay, for this next event, let's make 2 big changes to the events. Number one, more clients on stage. Because if you're building a community, you can't be the smartest person in the room, right? And it's great to have a bunch of different people sharing, particularly if they're part of your community. I think that's awesome. And then more masterminding time, more time for the community to work together. And so this is kind of embarrassing, but it's awesome. Over 3 days, there's like 9 sessions, and we can talk a bit about like the formats and stuff like that in a bit. Out of the 9 sessions, I opened and I taught 1 thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other 7 sessions were amazing, delivered by clients, by team, or by friends. And not every session is like somebody stands at the front and teaches slides, because that's boring. And so you want to mix that format up. But yeah, like think about, I don't know what the ratios of that are, but it's, it's probably low. It's 20% or something like that, less, more, whatever. And I'm not doing it because I'm lazy. Well, I am lazy, but I'm doing it because the event's better when I do it that way.
100%. And you're also doing it because you've got a community that loves doing it with other people in the community. Yeah. It's not just your events that they'll come and speak to. It's each other's events as well. So there's a network effect and a flywheel there as well, where people, you help people, you run great events and they run great events and everybody participates in those great events, which, you do as well.
And there's something really fun about watching somebody else's event or webinar or whatever and just going, oh, I can see that bit there they got from us and this is what they've done with it. And I can see like our thumbprint or our DNA on their stuff. Like I get so much. So the whole team gets a big thrill out of watching clients like take what we've done and next level it. And then they'll feed it back to us. And it's this epic flywheel of we do something great. They do something even better with it. We take it and we next level it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. And obviously with online coaching and the world these days, we're all about leverage, delivering more, less resources and overheads. How do you think about events where you're both delivering to clients, giving them a great experience, but also having guests who are thinking about joining the program? How do you balance that? Because you can have the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, we've totally done that. In the old days, we used to do client events and we used to do sales events and we were great at both of them. But it was like 7 events a year for clients, 3 in Australia, 3 in the States, 1 in London. And 6 weeks before each of those, there'd be a sales event. It was a lot. Like 14 events a year. There's a lot. So then we figured out, when you go to an ice cream shop and you're not sure what flavor to get and they give you the little taste spoon, I think about our events a bit like that now. And so our events, if you're going to have both clients and potential clients in the same room, you need to do it in a way that doesn't detract from the client experience. Like that's our first goal. And so it's like, how do we make this epic for clients? And then how do we integrate some guests? So you might want to think about, okay, how many guests, if you're all in a room together and we're on tables of 6, like if the whole table is prospects with 1 client, that's a weird room. So it's like, maybe 1 out of the 6 seats is a prospect, or maybe it's 2. But if they're online, different experience. And so this last event we did, we had clients in a room. We had some clients streaming in from overseas as well who couldn't make Hawaii. And then we chose to stream 1 day. In the past, we've had guests come in for all 3 days for our online events, or 1 day. And we're still kind of tinkering and playing with it. I think the thing is you got to pre-frame it right that, hey, you're coming to a client event, the train's already in motion, this is a tight community. And what they get to do is they get to see a system, they get to see that it works real time from real clients, they get to experience it, they get to take away a ton of value. But really what they're doing is like two dogs sniffing each other's butts in a park. Yeah, I like the smell of this community. That's a disgusting metaphor. You know what I'm trying to say. They get to taste spoon and go, hey, ice cream taste spoon is a much better metaphor. They get to taste and go, I'd like more of that. These are my people.
Yeah. It's immersing in the experience. It's the showing, not the telling. It's the demonstration, which is these days.
100%. So we don't even do a pitch anymore when the prospects come. We used to, sometimes we'll do like a breakout room for the guests while the clients are off masterminding together. And we just go, hey, you're here. It's great to have you here. Get some feedback. And then what did you love? What do you need most right now? And then we can go, would you like to learn a little bit about how this black belt thing works? And we can walk them through it. And then they'll book a call off somewhere else. This time we didn't even do that. They had a quick call to qualify, make sure they were a good match and set their expectations for the event. Then they come to the event and they've already got a sales call booked with one of the team members afterwards to kind of debrief and get them started if they want to. And it was amazing. It just means we can focus on delivering a great show and we don't have to you don't have to water down your content and you don't have to, people have paid a bunch of money, your time and airfares and stuff to be there. I don't want them to have a second class experience.
Yeah. You're focused on the delivery of, and then everything else takes care of itself by the design.
Yeah, and I think that's most of how we think about marketing anyway, is the product is the marketing. And so if we're teaching some content on socials or we've got a video up on YouTube or on the site or whatever, it's not like, let's invent something for prospects. It's like, let's take something that worked great for clients, share a piece of it here with everybody else. It's simpler, and I think it's better because then the marketing's generous.
Yeah. Speaking of which, do you want to show us how you design an event? You said 9 things.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me share some stuff. We'll do a big picture overview of what in our world the 3 days looks like, and then we'll go.
This is true behind the scenes. This is actually designing it, how to look at it.
Yeah, 100%. So can you see this okay?
See it, great.
Okay, so big picture for us, it was a 3-day event. It doesn't have to be, but for us, it was 3 days. The night before, people come in and they'll do like a welcome drinks, get to know each other. When you come to a new event, it's like a chance for old friends to reconnect and new people to meet some folks. So our team's there, mixing and connecting people and all that. Then the event itself, instead of being like a 9 to 5 job, we'd start at 9, we finished at 1, and then we got some time for lunch in here. I'll talk a little bit about what happens afterwards, and then we'll jump into the days themselves. So imagine this is like beach club. Reserved a chunk of the beach. It doesn't have to be beach, but something physical. I think anytime you can get people moving and talking together, magic just happens. And so we reserved a chunk of the beach. They can play volleyball or go surfing or paddleboard or swim or whatever. And then dinners, quite a big group. And if you get a group of people together at a restaurant, often you've got those big long tables. It's fine. But what it means is basically I'm stuck talking to the 2 dudes either side of me for 2 hours or 3 hours. And what if I don't like this guy? So small groups are great for good conversation. So we just reserved like tables of 5 or 6 at various restaurants around the area. And people sign up for, I want to eat Thai, or I want to eat Mexican, or I want to eat steak or whatever, and off they go.
Amazing.
And then we had one big group dinner where we do our award ceremony. So then what we've got is 3 kind of workshop sessions per day to fill. And we'll talk about the details in a moment, but we've got heaps of breathing space here, and we've got heaps of
Could I just interject here, because I just want to observe something for the audience. This is super modular because 3, 6s and 9s mean that, you've got a big event. You've got 2 distinct groups of people there with your coaches trying to get to $1 million and coaches beyond $1 million.
Yep.
But this is modular. So if we look at it in 3, 6s and 9s, then if you've got a smaller group, smaller community, you want to run something shorter, then this is really modular to, do the same design as well.
100%. So it's like a piano accordion. You can stretch it out or you can shrink it out. What I might do is let's zoom up a tiny little bit to probably what I should have said earlier. We're trying to design for energy the whole time. And so across the few days, you've got if this is your timeline, you've got times when where the energy is naturally high, when it's naturally low, and your job is to navigate that whole thing. Obviously, there's going to be you go, where should I put the planning bit? Well, obviously, it goes at the end when people have figured stuff out. There's some natural low points, like after lunches and stuff. So I'm thinking about that big picture. In our world, we've got 2 different part of the community together. We've got black belters trying to get to $1 million. We've got boardroomers beyond $1 million. And so then the question there is, okay, well, if I want the event to be great for all of those people all the time, then there's clearly times when they should be separate. And there's times when they should overlap. And so, thinking about that, it's kind of a useful lens. Across the days, and this goes back to those 9 boxes across 3 days, there's a lot going on here, James. I apologize for the scribbles. Here's one I prepared earlier. Across the days, there's kind of 9 different, if each one of those blocks is like an hour or an hour and a little bit, there's kind of 9 different, things we did. The first session is a hello. You welcome, you frame, you celebrate the wins. You get people to meet each other. You pre-frame what we're going to cover and how it's all going to work and get people excited. Perfect. You teach. That's a great session. A why, what, how, and now. That's a teach. Then you've got times where you want to separate the big guys and the little guys and maybe the guys in between. For us, they're called belt breakouts. So if you're under 30 grand a month, there's some stuff that you should be working on and the other stuff you shouldn't even think about. And then there's bigger guys, 30 to a mil. That's a different cohort, and they should go to a separate group. And then $1 million plus should go to another group. And if you're being pedantic about it, your 1 to 3 million is one group and 3 mil plus is another group. So just think about like, what are the natural levels in your group that maybe it's worth splitting? And you don't have to split them into 3 or 4. You can do 2 groups if there's 2 groups.
Yeah. Giving everyone what they need, for where they are.
Yeah. So nobody has to sit through a session that's not relevant.
Got it.
Guest speaker. Our mate Simon did a great session on models and choreography. Super useful. So yes, that's a session. There's a plan. That's kind of an important piece. My favorite bit though, actually, let's go here. Mastermind. If you get the tables right, and we do all in a live event, we're always on tables of 6. 6 is great because it's small enough that you can have one conversation around the table, but you can also split people into pairs to role play stuff, or groups of 3. So 6 is the magic number. So groups of 6 people masterminding together around their biggest opportunity or challenge. 8 or 10 minutes per person. There's a structure for it, but that's a nice little format. Good for after lunch because then people are talking, not trying to absorb more information. And if you get the tables right and people are working with people at their level or a bit above, but no one's having to be the super smart guy helping everybody, and no one's like way out of their depths. And so we split people by belt levels. So there's a white belt table and a yellow belt table or a black belt table or whatever. My favorite bit of the event is this one, senseis. And you've been a sensei, so you know what this is all about. So we handpick 4 clients who are doing amazing, praiseworthy, epic stuff, usually boardroomers, but not always. Someone who's doing something great with attract, marketing, someone great with convert, sales, deliver, and scale. And they each do like a 8-minute talk in front of the whole room. Here's the best thing that I've been doing lately to get leads or sign clients or run a profitable business or to deliver great results. Everyone learns all of those. They get to take notes. It's like the highlight reel of a great talk. And then there's a short break, and then they come back and choose which one of the 4 rooms they want to go to, and they deep dive. So there's 8 or 9 different formats. And then if we go back to where you were, where we were here, then it's just a question of, okay, well, what formats do you put in what spots? And so obviously your hello, Notability's had an update and I don't really like it. This is your hello. Your planning bit probably goes there because it's at the end. For us, it was guest speaker. Mastermind went there. Actually, no, it didn't. Belt breakout. The levels went there. Taki taught an epic thing. Sensei 1, Sensei 2, Mastermind went there, and then plan for the black belters. And then to our point from before about 2 different parts of the community together, the boardroomers were off doing their own thing that whole day. And so that room was boardroomers over here doing something and black belters here. So that's kind of an idea of the run sheet. But it's super modular. And if you wanted to design an event, you just need to know the formats and then go, okay, what's the best teach I could do in this spot that everyone needs right now? Fantastic. What are my groups? What do the little guys need? What do the big guys need? Who'd be a great guest? Kind of paint by numbers.
Yeah. And you showed me this a long time ago, and I love the modularity to the point where a recent event that I ran, I changed, because of the modularity, I changed a couple of things around.
Yeah.
Because of the energy. I bought something from Wednesday into the Tuesday, at that head.
Live, because you just pulling out a piece and inserting it here.
Yeah, I love it. Can
I tell you one thing that we did that was super simple and really great? We've always done morning activities. I got really inspired by my mate Jason Gaynard, who has this great event called Mastermind Talks. And at that event, there's 4 or 5 activities you can choose in the morning. There'll be some heavy workout with Ben Greenfield who makes you die. There's a yoga. There'll be a walk. There's a few different activities. And they're good. So we've gone, okay, well, let's do some morning activities. And so typically we've had something sweaty and something a bit more chilled, like a beach workout and a yoga or something like that. And everyone the night before is really pumped and they say, yeah, I'm coming. And then the buggers don't show up. And the other thing about a workout is it's a good experience, but it's not a great community experience. It's good for you, but you don't really talk to the person next to you. So we invented this activity called the coffee walk. It's exactly what it sounds like. A group of people meet at a spot and they walk together to get coffee. It's like a 10 or 15 minute walk. They get a coffee together and they walk back. And the nice thing is in a group, people naturally break into groups of 2 or 3 and they chat about whatever they want to. They get a coffee and they chat with different people on the way back. It's just a great community build, super easy to do. And we ran a big event in Hawaii. And so we had 5 different coffee spots and a few different coffee captains who just met people and said, hey, you guys are coming with me. We're going to this spot. It was great.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, the big thing I'm taking away is that how much the community can serve the community. And sometimes in these, solo or dare I say it kind of guru businesses, a lot of people think it's all going to be on them, that they have to be the center of everything, deliver 3, 6, 9 sessions, entertain everybody the whole time. But
it's hard work.
Community can serve the community, right? And some of those, after being to some of these events, the most memorable pieces is when someone taught something from behind the scenes, the inside things of applying what they're learning, what everybody's learning there. This is how I applied it, and it makes it super relevant and super exciting and super tangible to them.
It also adds believability. Yeah. There's a level of well, of course Taki can do it, or of course James can do it because you're the guru. But if someone goes, hey, here's how I took that thing that they taught and how I'm doing it in my business, and here's what I've learned, it's all of a sudden, oh, if Elsa can do that, then I can do it too. And that's amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it was Ken Blanchard used to say, none of us is as smart as all of us. I really believe that. And so the idea that nobody's really self-made, we're all community made. To quote Jason Gaynard, I think that's how I'd like to be. So I'm not running a coaching program. I'm building a community. That's the goal.
Yeah, I love it. And it's the distinction between information and insight these days. Information is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's basically free, but insight is saying, I see how you applied that to you. We're similar.
Yes.
We're going to take that and run with it. And you see the results multiply from it.
Yeah,
Powerful.
100%. Yeah, so before COVID, someone said, I'm thinking about doing events. I don't know if I should or I shouldn't. And I was like, dude, if I couldn't run the events, I would shut this business down in a heartbeat. And then COVID happened and I couldn't run the events and I kept the business going, so I lied. And I remember through COVID going, actually, this is pretty good because it's super convenient. You can click a button, you do your thing. And we run a similar sort of format for our online events, minus the afternoon and all the fun. And they're great. Are they as good? Nah, man, I'd be lying if I said they were as good.
Yeah. So the answer is not one or the other anymore. It's a bit of both, right?
Yeah, and I think leverage both. So for us, a year in black belt looks like for black belt, 2 online events, 1 in-person event on an island somewhere. That's a really great mix. And for boardroom, the 2 events which are online for everybody else are in person, and we get to do stuff together in a room and on Zoom, and then take the rest of the afternoon off and do fun stuff like mastermind on a bullet train in Tokyo or whatever it is.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I think, having seen these over the years, there's stickability to them as well, isn't there? The people come back for the people, and the memories, because you're building memories that never go away. And if they can recreate those memories in the future, they're going to stick around.
Yeah, we think about our events like a series of travel postcards, and people want to be there and have the postcard from Hawaii. And next year, we've just announced we're going to Fiji, and we've got a bunch of islands kind of in mind for the next few years. And it's a chance to bring a family together and do some little bit of magic.
Awesome.
Amazing.
So to close, what would you say to typical coach, if there's such thing anymore?
Yeah.
Thinking of adding an in-person or a virtual event these days?
So I would say 100% do it. I remember my early days in the coaching world were with a coaching franchise called Action Coach. And I was marketing for a team of 10 or 15 coaches. And they were all individual coaches doing one-on-one sessions with their clients, and they'd never done anything together. And we talked about it. And so my job was to invent this event. And coaches were a little bit nervous about getting clients together, which is dumb. But at the time, it was a real fear.
Natural but silly.
Natural but silly. That's a good way to describe it. At the end of the event, all of us were 100% convinced that it was the best thing we'd ever done, and clients loved meeting other people just like them, and it added a layer of depth and stickiness and an emotional connection to a program that was other just like a weekly call with a coach. So 100% you should do it. I think number one, you want to think about time, and if you're getting started, if you've got clients in a lot of places, just do a one day and hang out together. It's super low pressure. You can set expectations really low and then smash them. Jay Wright, one of our guys, he came to our Tokyo event and thought, I'd love to do an event, but he'd never done one. So he just did a roadshow around Australia, 3 or 4 cities for a day. It went amazing. Loved it so much. Now he's just done 2 days or 3 days altogether in Newcastle. So I think start with a day, probably an easy way to do it. Expectations low. It's more like a meetup than an event, and get your feet wet. And then steal 1 or 2 of these formats. A hello, a teach, a mastermind is probably, if I was just doing a day, that'd be my 3. And then something with dinner or fun together so that you can build some memories, take some pressure off you and give them what they really want. And if you like it, then turn it into a regular thing. For us, it's 3 a year, 1 big and a couple online. I think that's how I'd play it.
Love it. Well, you're the best in the world at running them. You're the best in the world at designing them, and you're the best in the world at teaching people how to do them. Thanks for sharing some behind the scenes.
Thanks, man. That was really fun. Yeah. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. This is fun.
See you, mate.